Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Alright, today we have a question that came in from James DeGama and Jason DeGama, excuse me. And Jason says, "Hi Serge, am I correct to assume that when you teach, what you teach is similar to that of using a swing glide? This is a yellow tool you can connect to the shaft and the grip of a golf club that teaches a golfer to hinge upwards." Alright, I went and I googled swing glide, and you click it to your shaft somewhere around here, and it's clipped on, and it's a little bar that comes up like here near your and rests sort of on your forearm right here, so that when you swing up, it might not be touching at address, but the key is for you to cock your club, to cock your hands, as he said, hinges up, as Jason said, hinges up, and it finally, this hand comes in, it touches here, so you can't break your hands anymore, your wrist anymore. Okay, so in essence, I think it would be a pretty good training aid that possibly, if it was touching your arm to begin with, could actually touching it, and you couldn't create anymore. So you were here, it was already touching your arm. As you swung up, you could not break your wrist, because we don't want you hinging. Your angle is set at address. I've done this many times, where I've stood here, I've taken a position like this, and just swing from here to there, and I get all the way up to the top, and it never changes until maybe a little bit on a downswing is a little bit, as the club's going up, and I'm starting to pull down, and I'm fighting it, because if I don't really fight this changing, pulling down, that thing could, both hands could collapse really bad, and then you're going to be sliding forward, and you're going to be coming in with too steep of an angle. So I say good wrist action is no wrist action. So I think that the hinge glide does talk about the swing glide does talk a little bit about hinging. I would prefer none. So I think it would be a much better training aid if it was already touching your arm, so you could come all the way up. You could come all the way up and have it touching all the way, and it pretty much touching right there. And then it probably would stay pretty good in the forward swing. But I don't want it where it doesn't touch and then it allows you to have any sort of hinging, because once you hinge, that's cocking the club, and that's changing the one of the most important angles in your swing. I've been struggling for the past 13 years with ball striking, but have, however, managed to maintain a scratch handicap purely because of my sharp short game. There we go, folks. And I will say this: is obvious that there's no doubt that Jason might be struggling with his game, his ball striking, but he's striking it good enough where he's keeping the ball in play and keeping it, especially off the tee and to the green. And if he's missing greens, he's missing them where he can get them up and down. Because if he was hitting balls into water hazards or into the rough and having to chip out and taking unplayable lies and all these other things, he couldn't be staying a scratch golfer. So he's probably not hitting the ball really pure, but he's keeping it in play. His misses are good misses. You know my main statement about misses. He who misses best wins. All right, golf's a game of misses. And the better your misses, the better you're going to score. And good misses are staying in play. It's obvious his game is good enough and his swing is good enough that he's making good misses and leaving himself where he can get it up and down. But he just said the magic words. It's his short game saving him. Become a short game wizard, because nobody hits all 18 greens every day. All right, and even then, you better make sure you're a darn good putter. My biggest headache is that I've lost way too much distance, specifically with the driver and my irons. I've been fitted to play with clubs that are 0.5 inches longer and 2 degrees upright. Where do you believe I should start searching to see if I can resolve my ball striking problems? All right, first place I'm going to go is, who fitted you? And I'd probably go back and try to find a swing surgeon certified fitter and check, because I read an article here. I read a letter that came in just the other day that somebody was like 6'6" and he was fitted like with 2 inch plus 6 degree upright clubs, and he was hitting it like terrible. Just because you're tall doesn't mean you need long clubs. Doesn't mean you need long clubs. And just because you're short doesn't really mean you need short clubs. If a guy's tall and he's got the average arms for himself, the right arm length for him, he should still be there. And I mean, maybe your short irons could be a little bit tall, a little bit longer, or maybe even your irons. But in many cases, you don't need long, 45 or 46 degree, not degree, but inch long drivers. And you've heard me say this 1,000 times on this website and on these dailies. I mean, it's almost nobody needs 46 inches, even that 6'6" guy. Not unless he had little arms like a kangaroo. All right. Now, on the other side of the spectrum is me. I'm 5'9", and I have a 35-inch sleeve. It is the same arm length of DJ, who's 6'3". It is a 35-inch arm sleeve is basically the arm length of anybody over around 6'3", 6'3". I had a gentleman one time at my club when I was in Punch Country Club in Kennesaw, Georgia. He was 6'3", and he had a 31-inch sleeve. 31 inches at 6'3", and here I am 5'9", and I got a 35-inch sleeve. I'll tell you what, man. Somehow whoever designed our two bodies got it backwards. I got his arms, and he got mine. He used to play like 2 inches over and about 4 degrees upright. He absolutely needed it. All right? But if he would have had 35-inch sleeves, he wouldn't have needed them. He probably would have had standard length clubs and standard lie, or maybe a degree up or even flat. But that would have been correct for him. Just like me. I swing shorter clubs and flat because my arms are so long, it's ridiculous. All right? So it's your makeup. You could have two people 5'9". One could have really long legs and a short torso, and average arms, and the other one could have average arms, but he has shorter legs and a bigger torso, which means when he bends over, he's going to be a lot closer to the ground with the same length arms as the other guy that's 5'9". But the difference in their body makeup makes up the difference of where their hands are when they stand up in terms of the length of the, so to speak. Most of our guys measure from the wrist down to the ground. So again, even the same height could have totally different specs. So a lot of people really believe, there's a lot of people, fitters, and this is mostly, I think, fitters in the big box stores, and not the guys that are have their own little shops and they do this for a living completely. That's all they do is fix clubs and build clubs. But I think when you go into these big box stores and they got even some of them that have PGA pros working for them, these guys are not fitting for a living, and they're using the formulas of the clubs that of the companies that they're selling you, and they don't take, and those companies' stats I don't believe take into. Not saying I don't believe, you'd have to get to Doc Griffin and some of our other fitters about that, but I don't think they fit. I think basically they're going by the stance, the statement that if you're tall and you're definitely over 6 feet, you need longer clubs, and so I don't think that's true. All right, and I think our fitters will. So hopefully, I would say you need to get fitted. The second thing is refitted. If your clubs are too long, there's a big reason why, or too upright or too flat. There's another reason why your ball striking isn't as good as it should be. So when you get fitted, we're talking about getting the length checked, the lie checked, and everything else. Doc Griffin just built me a new set of golf clubs, and they're a fraction longer than I was playing, not a whole lot. And he changed the lie. He had to make my clubs a little bit more upright because I'm going to a softer shaft now, which has got more as I swing down, it's got more shaft deflection bowing down. So he had to get me a little upright so the club would, when it hits the ground, it would be flat on the ground and not toed up or heel down. So it's getting a little, it's still weirding me out to stand here and look at my club toed up a little bit compared to where it was before, but I have to because I'm going to weaker shafts. I'm 63. I've lost at least 7 miles per hour clubhead speed on my driver, and same thing with the irons. I need softer shafts. It's going to give me a little bit more help. So I think you're probably more if you're still staying zero and you're hitting the ball with good misses. I think your clubs are probably still a little bit off. And I would really find me a top-notch fitter. You can go find Swing Surgeon fitters on our site, and Doc Griffin even has a formula where you can. He's got a over the internet fitting. If you can answer all the questions and get him a picture of your swing, he can give you a pretty darn good fitting, and I'm sure most of our other fitters could probably do something like that too. But I'm going to say, by what I read, I think you still got club issues, and I would get that checked. All right, and that's for everybody else out there. Just because you're tall doesn't mean you need long clubs and upright, or vice versa for short. You are what you are. I hate to use that cliche. You are what you are, and therefore you need what you need. Okay, and you need to play good golf, you need what's just right for your setup, your body style, your setup, and your swing. Okay? That's it for the search for today. And if you want to play good golf, you need good tools. You need correct tools, fitted tools to you. That's it for the search today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.